So, imagine a world without medicine, cosmetics, or cleaning products. These things help humans in so many ways, but they all come at a cost. Millions of animals are used for testing yearly, and some live, some die, but they all suffer unimaginable pain. Every day, many people benefit from scientific discoveries made through animal experimentation, yet very few stop to think about the suffering that makes it possible. Hello, my name is Bailey, and I'm here to talk to you about why animal testing isn't ethical. I've seen and helped dogs that were used in animal testing and have seen the negative and traumatizing effects it can have on them. Today, I will explain why animal testing causes unnecessary suffering, how alternatives can replace it, and how science can continue to thrive without it. First, animal testing causes unnecessary suffering. Animals experience pain, fear, and stress just like we do. Yet millions are forced to go through painful and invasive procedures every year. Many are chemically burned, poisoned, or genetically altered, and most are killed after experiments end. Supporters often argue that these tests are conducted humanely, but in reality, pain relief is not always provided, and animals have no way to consent. Imagine if we applied the same logic to humans, saying that causing pain is acceptable as long as it helps others. Suffering of animals cannot be justified by labeling it necessary. In many cases, it is simply the easiest path, not the most ethical option. There are humane and reliable alternatives that can replace animal testing. According to Cruelty Free International, modern technology has given us advanced options such as computer simulations, tissue cultures, and 3D human cell models. These methods can often predict human reactions more accurately than animal experiments can. And according to the National Institutes of Health, many studies show that over 90% of drugs that pass animal trials fail in human clinical testing. That means that animal biology is not the perfect substitute for human biology. If these experiments are both cruel and unreliable, continuing them makes little ethical or scientific sense. Some may argue that animal testing is still necessary to ensure safety before human trials. However, the truth is that newer technologies already allow scientists to test chemicals, drugs, and treatments using human-based technology without risking lives. These methods are not only more humane, they're faster, cheaper, and more accurate. So, how can science continue to thrive without animal testing? Well, that's simple. Science has always been about innovation and finding better, smarter, and more accurate ways to solve problems. The idea that progress depends on animal testing is outdated. In reality, science can continue to thrive and even advance faster through modern technology that replaces the need for animals. True progress means developing cures and maintaining compassion. The greatest scientific advances should not come from suffering. They should come from creativity, innovation, and respect for all life. When we use empathy, the discoveries become not only powerful, but humane. In the end, using animals in scientific research is not ethical. It inflicts unnecessary suffering on creatures who cannot consent, ignores advanced human alternatives, and science can still thrive without it. Science should improve life, not destroy it. We have the power to support cruelty-free products and speak out against needless animal suffering. When we choose kindness, we don't slow down progress, we redefine it. The future of science depends not on how much we can take from others, but on how wisely and compassionately we choose to move forward. Are there any questions?
Did you see all the rhesus monkeys that escaped from that wreck somewhere in the south?
Yes, oh my God, I did.
And there's still one on the loose, I think.
Oh my
But I noticed they had been testing them for a few different things, like different diseases that don't have cures for them necessarily now. So do you think that those animals should be euthanized now that they're out in the wild? I mean, they're on the loose, they're carrying these diseases. Should they be?
So, I don't believe so. I think, like, if anything, they should be captured and taken back to where, they came from originally, but I don't believe they should be euthanized.
Okay. And on your opposite side of this whole thing, would you detail that a little bit more for me? Like, what's the opposite side of this? What's the benefits of, testing things on lab animals?
So, I feel like from what I had, there really is no true benefit to it. Because, we have multiple things that can and already show, more progress. They show to be more beneficial than animal testing. And I truly don't know why we still use animal testing whenever we already have the resources and like the opportunities to use more things.
More alternatives.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? I thought you did a good job on this all the way around. You had some good details. I think you're doing well up there. You talked more than you read this time. I thought that was good. Overall, good presence. You get a little hand wringing like your hands right now.
Yeah.
So just separate them and let them kind of float on their own.
Okay.
But otherwise, I thought you did a good job. Let's give Bailey a hand. Chia. Are we still talking TikTok?
Yes.
All right.
I'm going to be talking about the TikTok and the problem of misinformation. Imagine scrolling on TikTok and a video pops up claiming a new health trick or like anything breaking news. It will obviously look very convincing enough, causing people to like comment and making it sound even more true. So it makes you believe it that it's true. But later you come to find out it's very fake, and this happens every day to millions. And it's very powerful and very dangerous, which obviously yeah. I use TikTok every day, and from my personal experience, I have literally fell victim to these type of misinformation, especially like I don't know, you guys seen the video of the trampoline of these rabbits getting on a camera catching rabbits jumping on trampoline. And people thought it was cute. They were like, oh, that's cute. It's just rabbits jumping on a trampoline. It was fake. It was AI. So while TikTok is an exciting platform, it connects people and it helps spread creativity. And it also allows misinformation to spread faster than the truth. So TikTok spread awareness and creativity. Like during the COVID-19 pandemic, even the World Health Organization started using TikTok to help like share accurate information, health information for younger audience, as it also helps connect people by, according to a Pew Research Center report from 2023, TikTok helps young people find communities that match their interests, kind of like mental health support, cooking, or learning about any culture. By that means it gives everyone a voice, which it allows anyone who posts their ideas or stories to reach hundreds and thousands of views. Although there's always a downside to the media, there is a high level of misinformation, from 2023 study of NewsGuard found that nearly 1 in 5 TikTok videos about major news topic contain false, misleading information, which brings to the type of videos that spread around the internet, which is false videos that spread so much faster than the real ones. BBC News reported in 2024 that TikTok algorithm boosts videos that get attention, kind of like the ones that are like more emotional, dramatic ones that can get your attention much faster than the boring ones. So often it goes on before fact checkers can catch them on. The same research, the Pew Research study, found that around 1/3 of adults under 30 uses TikTok as their way to get news on TikTok. The problem is that most of these videos come from influencers instead of like journalists or experts that know more about the topic. Some people say that TikTok shouldn't be blamed, that it's usually up to the people that use TikTok. It's kind of their problem because they don't check themselves before doing it. But it's kind of hard to like find the truth because of the way that TikTok is made. So it's kind of hard to avoid it. So the app rewards what is viral, what is not verified. So when users want to be careful by checking what is real or not, the algorithm usually keeps pushing more eye-catching but often inaccurate content. So yes, TikTok can educate and entertain at the same time, but it can also mislead millions of people. So that's why it's important to pause and think about whether to believe what is real or not. So the next time you see something shocking or too good to be true moment on TikTok, you can stop and check it out and maybe find a more reliable source that can prove that information up. So yeah, any questions?
Okay. Gee, I think this is a really interesting talk. Early on, I was trying to figure out which way you were going. Whether you were going, is TikTok good or is TikTok bad because of the misinformation? And then you sort of went back and forth on both ways on that. Ultimately, I think what you're saying is TikTok is good because it offers entertainment, social opportunities, and information you can't get elsewhere. So other people might say, well, TikTok is bad because it's just full of fake stuff. And then your response to that is like, yeah, but you need to be careful. Don't get all your news and information from TikTok, get it from elsewhere. So I think your argument is there, but you want to make sure that when you make a persuasive speech or argument, you're telling us which way we should go. Should we watch TikTok or not? So in your opinion, is TikTok good?
Yes.
Okay, and it's good because of the reasons you've said. So that's really how, if you were, well, here's what I want to say. First of all, you included a bunch of facts that were really good that weren't there last time. So that's really a major improvement. But what I want to get you to think in terms of is when you make a persuasive speech, you're telling us, here it's good. And then at the end, come back in and say, well, some people might say it's not so good, that it has these issues. So overall, I thought it was really solid. You just got to pull apart what you want to argue and make sure your other side comes back at the end.
Oh, okay.
But aside from that, I thought you did really well. I like that you included the facts in there. I liked your introductory statement. What's at stake? Reality. Should we believe it or not? And sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. I have another student in a different class who's arguing that all AI should be noted somehow on the screen. So you should see something somewhere that says this is AI. Because your opposite side really is that the misinformation is a negative element of TikTok, but we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. Just because there's one bad thing doesn't mean
It's all bad.
it doesn't have some positive things going for it. Okay? All right, I'm going to say good job. Let's give her a hand. All right, interesting. Okay, solid, solid. Okay. Oh, we're back to Kim.
Okay. So for a long time, zoos have been places where families go to see animals and learn about them. I understand why it feels exciting and educational, but if we really care about animals, we have to ask ourselves, are we helping them or are we just trapping them for our own entertainment? Zoos should convert into different types of wildlife management areas like natural reserve, where animals can live freely in their natural environment instead of being kept in small cages or glass enclosures. It gives animals place, protect endangered species in the right way, and still allow people to learn, but in a more human and respectful way. First, captivity often causes stress and suffering. For example, dolphins are intelligent and sentient creatures. They capable of feeling emotions like joy, love, and amusement. In captivity, like water park, they often train to perform tricks for human entertainment. Not because they want to, but because they thought that performing means they get food, and their tanks are thousands of times smaller than their ocean. And many show the sign of stress and depression, like they biting the tangles to escape. Even the best designed zoos cannot replicate the complexity of the natural habitats, like the social structures or the freedom that defines the natural life have. That's why natural reserves is a better alternative. They allow animals to live in habitats that similar to their own, where they can hunt, socialize, and reproduce naturally. In this environment, they don't need to perform or entertain. Second, many zoos claim to support conservation, but the data show their impact is often limited. A study published in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that zoos contribute animals to only about 14% of all conservation translocation programs, and only 25% of those bred animals were actually released into the wild. In other words, most zoo breeding programs have limited success in releasing animals. Natural reserves, on the other hand, directly protect animals in their native habitats. Reserves in countries like Kenya or South Africa have helped recover endangered species such as rhinos and elephants by giving them space to live naturally. Unlike cages, reserves allow for real ecosystem like predators, prey, vegetation, and migration to grow together. Another important point is education. Many people say zoos help us learn about animals, but what we really learn about is how they behave in cages, not in nature. I remember visiting a zoo once, and all I saw were animals just moving around in cage and just waiting for food. They looked so tired and bored. But in natural reserves or national park, we can still see animals, but from a safe distances. While those animals live naturally and freely, we can witness their behaviors, their interactions and instincts in their natural habitats. In the end, if we truly care about animals, we should move forward. Zoos should convert into different types of wildlife management where animals can live freely and people still can learn about animals but more human. And next time, if you plan a family trip, choose to visit a national park instead of zoos because protecting animals shouldn't mean trapping them. It should mean giving them back freedom to their freedom. Any question?
So your advocation to us is maybe skip the zoo and go try and find animals in their natural environment, and then that will help the idea that maybe zoos aren't the best way to conserve animals. Right? That's what you're saying? Just say yes. Yeah, that's what you're saying. All right? Okay, so I thought that you did a good job here. What I liked is instead of a big thesis at the beginning and then going the opposite side from after that thesis, you kind of went point counterpoint. So you offered us, one element saying this is how we're going to conserve and reproduce this area, but science says that doesn't really work that way. So I thought you did a good counterpoint system there of being organized. And I thought your rebuttals were good. And your call to action to us is to rethink going to the zoos, but maybe find some other alternative to appreciate animals. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say about it? No? Okay, well, let's give her a hand. Yay. Thought you did well there. Corey is next. This should be a challenge. We'll see how yours goes. We haven't really heard it yet, have we?
No, I haven't done one at all.
Okay. We'll see how it goes. Better, and you were louder too. You're getting louder. Good. One of these days I want you up there yelling, just screaming at the top of your lungs. Okay, Corey, take off.
Have you ever thought about how much of your daily life decisions depend on trust, even if you do not realize it? Today, I'm going to be speaking to you all as to why you should see trust as a decision and not a feeling. Now, saying that out loud, some of you might be thinking, well, of course, we know it's a decision. That's really quite obvious. You can choose to do whatever you want to do. And some of you might be thinking, well, of course, it's a feeling. Somehow, some way, you have to have some kind of emotion to eventually get to a point to where you trust somebody. Which, if you're thinking any of that, you're not wrong. Trust is a decision, and it is a feeling. But it ultimately comes down to how you perceive the concept of trust. And however you perceive it will determine every outcome that you get after that. And why I chose to talk about this topic specifically is because personally for me, trust is, if not the most valuable thing that I hold in my life. And I wanted to share with you all more information when it comes to being in tough situations and being under pressure and just knowing the differences in how you feel in the moment based on what is set in stone with facts and values. So with that, I found information from a woman named Brené Brown, who is a research professor on both vulnerability and trust, and she defines trust as a series of decision-making. And she states that if you truly know what trust is, the decision to trust somebody is something that you don't do blind. That decision is based off of observing someone's behavior, consistency, and integrity over time. And this is because trust is found in every aspect of human interaction, serving as the essential foundation for your personal relationships, social interactions, and for institutions to really become effective. So I'm hoping with the information that I provide to you today, you will see that trust is not beneficial to a person as a emotional response, but actually as a moral choice that requires vulnerability, integrity, and the faith and the goodness of others. So with that, how do we know that trust is even linked to us as people? How do we even know that trust can be seen as a decision or a feeling? Well, there is actually neuroscience research on it, and some of this information coming from an institution called the BRM, and they show that trust is there is areas of the brain that is linked to trust. There is that shows that there's areas of the brain that is linked to trust. And this part of the brain specifically is called the prefrontal cortex, and that is located right in front of your brain, like right around here, right in front of your forehead, and it is responsible for the decision making, the analyzing risks, the social behavior, which overall involves the assessing of the intentions and the reliability of others. And how we know that trust is a feeling is because when you start to feel trust towards somebody, your brain releases what is called oxytocin, often known as the bonding or trusting hormone. So this right here can actually reduce fear, increase empathy, and make you more willing to trust others. So with that, it's important to know that you can't always control how you feel, but you can choose how you act. So with that, now that you know where the foundation of it starts within a person and really where it's located within the brain, it really comes down to the question, why should you see trust as a decision and not a feeling? And there's honestly a lot of different ways to go about this, honestly, endless possibilities, but I more so wanted to base it off of the way where it hits the tougher situations in being under pressure. And why specifically being under pressure? Because all the information that I'm going to tell you all eventually leads back to the prefrontal cortex that is located in your brain. So forgetting today. So with that, it really comes to it being simply down to knowing the differences between your feelings and what decisions are when it comes to trust. So with your feelings and trust, your feelings can often most likely be impulsive. They can be unreliable, misleading, and easily influenced. Your feelings can be manipulated, especially in crisis situations, because your feelings often fail you because they are immediate and subjective. Your decisions, on the other hand, are more of a conscious choice that are often thoughtful and are often more so backed up by evidence. They usually will guide you. And I also found more information from a clinical psychologist who goes by Dr. Rathorn, I believe, who had stated that decision making under pressure can actually be a skill that is developed over time. And once you start to learn the effects of the brain and applying all these practical strategies, you're actually able to improve your decision-making capabilities in situations to where you may be under pressure or it may just be tough for you overall. So with that, I actually went to the movies probably like a few weeks ago, and I watched a film called Battle Royale. Has anyone ever seen it? No. It's a 2000 movie. It's like Japanese movie, all in Japanese. And this is where they put about 43 students on an island. And these students are pretty much told, okay, you have 3 days to kill each other. And if there is not at least one person left by the end of the 3 days, you all die. Now, this is just a very fictional movie I'm using as an example, and that's just the setting of it. But the whole point as to why I'm using that as an example is because I want you all to think about it this way. These students were put in a tough situation on the spot, and it's like everything they knew beforehand was gone. But before this happened, all of these students were friends with one another in some way. They knew each other, they went to school with each other, they knew each other prior, they cared for each other, but most importantly, they trusted each other. And all that trust went away the moment they were put under pressure. When you are put under pressure, physically, emotionally, or psychologically, your brain and body shift into what is called survival mode. And this can make you feel, think, and act often in ways that are more fast and reactive rather than when you are calm and able to consider everything. So you may make decisions you may react impulsively than actually thinking things through, and you may not make decisions based on what that might be best in the moment. But when this happens and you're where am I? Okay, yeah. So when you're in situations like these, the prefrontal cortex that I mentioned before, that is located in the brain, that is responsible for the decision making, the reasoning, the analyzing, it actually gets overridden. So you are going to make choices where you react impulsively than actually thinking things through. But it actually doesn't have to be like that. When you're in a situation and you know, even for a small second, that trust has to be considered, you're actually able to shift your instinctive feelings into mindful judgment. And how are you able to do that? Well, whatever situation you're in, you are going to use what you have observed, analyzed, and how you choose to act consciously is how you're going to do that. Because in the end, judgment is always going to be your first line of defense. Caution is what keeps you safe. Because also, people don't also have the best intentions, will not always have the best intentions towards you, so trusting without caution will lead to consequences. And a long story short to that movie, actually, fear, distrust, and manipulation did most of the killing in that movie rather than the weapons that they were given to kill each other with. But trust is simply what I can define of being in our present. It is known to be the invisible currency of our lives, and that is because it is known to be the invisible currency of our lives because it shapes how we live, who we love, who we follow, and how we forgive. Trust is fundamentally the human trait that can easily be shattered, and the value of having trust is crucial when it comes to maintaining social order and relationships. And the more that you think about the concept of trust, you will see that trust is not beneficial to people as a emotional response, but actually as a more choice that requires vulnerability, integrity, and the faith in the goodness of others. And overall, with conclusion to all this isn't me trying to tell you all that you should not be going out there and not taking chances with people and doing things in your life, but this is me telling you to walk through your life being aware with what you do and who you trust. Any questions?
I have a couple. I was trying to get to the opposite side of your argument. You're saying we should trust, everybody should trust. That's your argument. And the opposite side of that is trusting without caution can cause problems. That's really the opposite side here, is that sometimes we trust people and then they wind up treating us negatively in one way or another. And so in that case, trust didn't work out. So we have to be cautious about our trust. However, we need trust because it forms a foundation for our lives and also for society. We have to believe in certain commonalities, I guess is what you're saying there. Okay, well, I think it's interesting, philosophic. It's a philosophic argument, and I think that makes it interesting. It's also psychological. I thought that you provided us some data, and I thought that was important. People believing each other, that's obviously at stake. So I think that overall, I thought you did a pretty solid job on this. I want you to get rid of your gum before you're speaking, though.
I don't have gum in my
You're
mouth.
chewing up there. So do you just have a habit of chewing?
No, when I was out last week, I had a dental problem, so the way it is all in my mouth is kind of, I don't have gum in my mouth.
Okay, it looked like you were chewing gum up there. So
it's
okay, never
kinda-
mind that then.
Yeah, you're good.
And then one word I want you to work on, the word feel.
Feel?
Feel. Instead of fill.
Feel, okay.
You say, it's an Oklahoma thing to say fill instead of feel.
Okay.
Let's try and get that situated. Let me ask you this philosophical question. Do you have free will?
Do I? Sure.
You do?
Sure.
Okay. So this is an ancient discussion regarding free will, since you brought it up. Either one side says that there is no such thing as free will. Why is that? Because every decision you make is based on everything that's come before you. Because you're using all the history in your mind, all the logic and everything that's there to make your decision. Well, if all that logic is what's forming your decision, then that's not your free will. Because you're depending on everything that came before, the people that have talked to you and all the information that you have. I just wondered how you'd respond to that. You can look into that philosophically a little bit more. But I thought, good, you have good volume up there. You're talking about an interesting subject. I like that you talk more than you read. So overall, I thought you did a solid job. So let's give Corey a hand. Now we should be able to get these two in. We have another 18 minutes or 15, 16 minutes. Elena, you're up there next. And then Cooper. And I think that's it for today. Kelsey's sick, Hunter is out. So, all right, you're on.
Every day, students face pressure that didn't even exist a generation ago. We are constantly connected social media, school emails, assignments, notifications, all happening at once. And while our parents often say, "You will be fine, I went through it too," the truth is the challenges we face today are not the same as theirs. That's why I want to talk about the importance of mental health support for students and why it should be treated as a top priority, just like physical health. The number of young people dealing with depression and anxiety has increased significantly in recent years. According to CDC, about 42% of students report feeling persistently sad or hopeless. If we continue to ignore this problem, students will keep struggling silently, losing motivation, dropping grades, and sometimes losing hope altogether. I have personally experienced how stress and pressure can affect my focus and motivation. Between school, expectation, and constant comparison on social media, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Learning to take care of my mental health and realizing it's okay to ask for help has taught me how important emotional well-being truly is for students like me. Some people, especially from older generations, believe that mental health isn't something we have to talk about too much. They say things like, it's just a phase, or we all went through stress in school. You will be fine. They think students today are too sensitive, or that stress is just part of growing up. But our world today is completely different. Students now face new kinds of pressure. Social media, peer pressure, online expectation, financial stress, academic competition, and even the rapid growth of AI and technology that can make us feel like we always have to keep up. Telling students to just get over it doesn't work anymore. Instead, talking to counselor, joining group programs, or even going to the therapy helps students learn healthy ways to manage stress. That's why schools and students must treat mental health as top priority, like by increasing awareness, reducing stigma, and using the support system already available to us. Right here at Rutgers State University, we already have amazing programs designed to help students with mental health and wellness. The P2P, peer-to-peer mentoring program, run by students in the Master of Science in Community Counseling program, connects students with trained mentors who can provide academic, personal, and emotional support. The Center for Wellness and Prevention also offers resources like the Wednesday Working Group, food and hygiene pantries, and connection to the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. These programs remind us that no one has to face their struggles alone. So if you or someone you know is feeling overwhelmed, please reach out. Email the peer mentoring program at peermentoring@student@rsu.edu or stop by Bear Hall Room 201 to talk with a mentor. You can also connect the Center for Wellness and Prevention or call 988 anytime for immediate support. Let's normalize talking about mental health, checking in on one another, and using the help that's already here for us. Mental health isn't something to hide or be ashamed of. It's something to take care of just like our body. When we support each other and make use of the resources our campus provides, we create a healthier and stronger community. A healthy mind is not just the key to success in school, it's the foundation for happy and meaningful life. Any questions?
I'm going to look at your opposite side. I'm always interested in this. So your opposite side is students are essentially told by their parents to get over it. And other folks, it's like, hey, we're all stressed out, just get past it. Yeah. Then your rebuttal to that is like, we need to understand times are different now, right? That's kind of the way you're going with that. Okay. I really like all the call to action details. where a person can go for more information. I thought that was really good. I liked the element of what's at stake, our mental health. You're obviously a college student experiencing stress, as all college students do. Your thesis is mental health should be a priority. I thought that was solid. On your old presentation, you're louder, you're more clear. I think you're doing a really good job up there, Elena, all the way around. So I thought it was well organized, just a solid job. Let's give her a hand. Good work. And finally, it's up to Cooper. Close us out here.
Alrighty. Good morning, guys. Why are Oklahoma public students required to take classes that they will not need in the future? There were approximately 697,358 students enrolled in Oklahoma public schools. All of these students were forced to take unneeded required courses through their high school studies, such as art, Spanish, and technology. It is a waste of time when we can prepare them for their futures and teach them how to do necessities like tax returns or basic human growth. On the art side, in Oklahoma public schools, 91,000 students are required to take art courses. Studies show that 4% of these students will go into art majors. Why is it important for them to take them? On the Spanish side, there were 697,358 students in Oklahoma public schools that took Spanish classes. Studies show that 9% of the Spanish teachers are from Spanish-speaking countries. So how are we for certain that we're learning the right materials? Less than 1% of these students went into Spanish-speaking majors. On the technology side, 95% of Oklahoma's public school students were required to take technology courses. Approximately 7% of these students went into tech-related fields. So my point is, why is it important to force these students to take these courses that they will not use in their future fields of studies? It would be more beneficial to help our students prepare for their college courses and futures with major-related classes. When I came out of high school, I almost felt unprepared, not knowing how to do basic things like handling money, tax returns, or basic adult necessities. In my high school career alone, I took 12 required classes in high school that I no longer use in my everyday life for my current major. And how do I plan to change this? I plan on joining the Oklahoma School Board in my local town in the future and make my ideas known to local representatives. High school prepares 51% of Oklahoma students that attend college for their future endeavors. So why make our kids feel unprepared with irrelevant materials when we can prepare them for our futures? Are there any questions?
Well, yeah. Okay, so obviously I'm on the other side of this because I believe a liberal arts education is important for every human being. And this goes back to how far back to the time of the Greeks or the time of the Romans. Or when you study your history, you know that the Roman Empire fell, right? It was this great civilization that fell. We went into this time of the Dark Ages, as they're called, the early Middle Ages. Bleak, totally bleak. And during that time, we got rid of our arts education, if you will, or letters or music. None of that's important anymore. Around 800, there was this guy named Charlemagne. Charlemagne comes in and he goes, you know what? To make a better society, everybody needs to know liberal arts. So you need to know geometry. You need to know math. You need to know how to read. You need how to write. You need music. Well, why do you throw music on with these other things? Because it's an art. It is something that fills. Do you ever listen to music?
I do.
Okay, so music's part of your world because it's part of our educated world. But the liberal arts, and I'm providing you some counterpoint here, provide us critical thinking abilities. And we know from studies that just by looking at a work of art, it expands your mind in different ways than looking at a checkbook or a bank balance. Okay? Now, you're right on target with what's going on in the state. So when you get to the school board, guess what? You don't have to worry about arts anymore. Because last year, the state of Oklahoma passed a law saying that art is no longer required at high schools. So a student doesn't have to do it anymore. However, I think that's a mistake because people need more than just numbers in their lives. So for example, do you like sports?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ever go to a high school football game or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
The band. Are they a good part of what's happening there?
Yes, sir.
Because they make an atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
But the way we're going, music could be next. We don't need art. We don't need music because those kids are just learning to play instruments and marching around at halftime and playing the school song after a touchdown. And so what? Well, that's an enriching experience for them, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're not saying to get rid of music. You're just saying it shouldn't be required.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't think that it's fair to me to learn how to play a flute or something like that I don't need. And like you were saying with the guy his name was Charlemagne, right?
Charlemagne.
Yeah. So that ideology is when he was from 800. You said. And so I believe that can retain to today, but also the world is completely different from it was, back then. I think that it is important in some aspects to get the liberal art to have the overall view of education. But also, like right now, I'm going into like a business backfield, and like today, I don't use how to learn how to play instruments. Or it is important, I feel like, on the tech side to learn because we all use technology in our everyday classes, so that is very important. But in Oklahoma schools, or at least the technology classes that I were in, we didn't really learn how to kind of find out how to use technology. It was more of like learning how to code and stuff like that. So I think the overall principle of this is, yes, it is important to learn how to do or how to mess with technology. And yes, it is important to learn how to speak Spanish in some aspect. But the overall ideology is that I don't think it's very important when we can focus on the stuff that we will go into our future studies and kind of hold ourselves back and be unprepared as Oklahoma public school students. And I know that I was looking at a study, and we take a lot more required classes in Oklahoma than other states do. And so a question that I had in my mind, is that the reason why we're last in education? Because we're forcing these students to go away from what they are doing in their future to kind of have these other backgrounds and that liberal arts ideology in our classrooms.
Well, here's the thing. When you get a college degree, for example, you come to Rogers State, like you have to take speech.
Yeah,
Is this an important class?
I think it is, yeah.
Okay, because it's part of being a fully educated person. So when you take your general education requirements, you take Comp 1, Comp 2, learn how to write. You have to take a math class, so you'll be to have some kind of sense of math. You have to take a government class. You have to take a history class. What else do you have to take? Sociology or psychology, I believe. Then you have to take some kind of earth science. You might take geology or astronomy. Are you really going to use geology or astronomy in your life? So why do you have to take it? So you'll be a well-rounded person. Because we're not looking, and then after that, you have to take 2 humanities courses. Cinema, music, philosophy, history of religion, any of those kind of things. Subsequent to that, you take a global humanity. You've got to take something that's outside of the United States, or the concept of Western education.
Sir.
That's the basics of liberal arts education. It's not the facts that you're learning, it's your brain learning to deal with complicated subjects that don't have easy answers. A ledger is a ledger. Numbers, they add up or they don't add up, period. A work of art, when you look at it, Bailey's going to have a different impression of it than I would, and you'll have a different impression than she would.
Yes, sir.
So what art education does is it broadens your mind so you're ready to accept concepts that are outside of your worldview. This is just me being counterpoint
No,
here,
that's the other side of it for sure. And
because we don't say you get a Bachelor of Conservative Arts. We say you get a Bachelor of Liberal Arts. And liberal only means what? Open to new ideas. That's it. If you get in the political realm, it means something else. But in the truest sense of the word, it means open to new ideas.
Sir.
So I think that your argument is solid from your point of view, but I think you could definitely have more. And what I'm trying to do is provide more of the opposite side. It's like there's a big world, because what we're seeing from employers is they want people who can think. Like an attorney, Corey over here, if she really becomes an attorney someday, it's not just knowing the law, but it's knowing how to organize your argument so you can use the law effectively to get whatever it is that you want.
Sir.
So what I'm just trying to get at here for you, Cooper, is that I appreciate your argument.